Hello and welcome to Music Lessons with Tony Valley. Today we're going to be working on altered tunings and open tunings. All right, first of all, what is an open tuning, an altered tuning? It's basically changing the pitch of one of your strings on your guitar to make it so that when you strum strings open, you're actually playing a chord. All right, the first basic altered tuning is we're going to drop your E string down to sound like your D string. Now for those of you who are just starting open tunings and altered tunings, let's go through your strings. The E string, B, G, D, A, and your low E. All right, what I just did was I just dropped my E string down to sound like my D string. Now a lot of these open tunings, altered tunings, you can use the notes of your guitar, on the guitar, to tune the notes to it. So first of all, this tuning right here is just a basic one used in a lot of rock songs, a lot of 90s and 2000s music, to where you're pressing down and you're just barring the string, and that changes as you go up and down the frets. Now we can get in detail, and if you have any questions about that, you can definitely email me at tonyvalley@tonyvalley.com, or go online and just look at basic tunings for your 6th, 5th, 4th string like that open. But play a D chord along with this open D string, and it sounds really meaty. All right, so that's a basic drop D tuning. All right, the first tuning, the open tuning we're going to work on is open G. Now I already have my 6th string tuned down to D, and I match that again with your 4th string D. Now once again, the string names E, B, G, D, A, E. But now I move that one down to D. Now once again, that's in standard tune. Now when I bring it down, you're matching that note. Now with basically a note wave, picture it just like a wave moving. Now when you want that to sound the same, you want to have that wave the same. If you hear this, you hear a little vibration, and that's out of tune. Or if it's too low, you can hear that little distortion, and that wave's not even. So you want to make that wave even and get rid of that shaking sound. Now once again, my E is tuned down to D. Now the next string, we're going to take the A string, and we're going to tune that A string down to G. Now the 3rd string is G, so we're going to use that as a bass note to bring this down. Now once again, we're taking the 5th string, and we're going to tune it down to sound like G. Now I'm hitting both strings. There we go. Now that A string now is tuned to the G. Now the next string, the 4th string, D, stays the same. The G that we just tuned that A string down to G stays the same. Your 2nd string B stays the same. But we're going to take the 1st string, which is usually E, and we're going to bring that down to sound like the D. Well, let's take the 4th string D, and that's our bass note, reference note there. And we're tuning down the E and matching it to sound like the D string. And definitely practice that a few times. Bring it back up a little bit. And like I was saying about that vibration sound, that shaking. If it sounds like this, you hear that shaking? We want to get rid of that. Make the sound wave the same. All right, once again, I've taken the E string and tuned it down to D. Now right now, the notes now are D, B, G, D, G, D. Now what happens when I alter those notes like that, and I strum all the strings, I'm strumming a G chord. Now that's what I mean by open tuning. I am playing all the notes in G. Now, because I changed the pitch of the strings, it alters all your chords. So if you're to play a regular chord that you think is a D chord, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be a D chord, or a G chord. It's not going to be a G chord. So we're going to have to get into that at a later time and go into different chords. But just for the first one, for sake right here, this is a C G chord now that I've altered the tuning. And your first finger is placed on your first fret, second string, second finger on your fourth string, second fret, and just strike all the strings. Now that's a C G chord now. Now usually that's an A minor 7 when you're playing in regular tuning of 6-string guitar, but now I've changed it to a C G chord. And you can have fun with that, try different chords, and again, if you have any questions, please email me at tonyvalley@tonyvalley.com. and go through all kinds of different stuff. But we'll get into that in detail. And once again, that is a G chord, open G. And there's another fun thing you can do to this, and a lot of slide players use this in blues. They just bar across the frets. And again, the best way to get comfortable with playing altered tunings and open tunings is just fool around. You can definitely be specific if you really want to know the names of the chords, but just try some chords and just fool around and just go through some different things. And you can later on write out the names of the chords as you play them and figure them out. But for now, just have some fun with it. Next up, we're going to be starting the key of D. We're going to go into an open D tuning. The next tuning is open D tuning. We're first of all going to take your 6-string E and we're going to bring that down to sound like D. Now we're going to take a reference note, your 4th string D, and we're going to tune down the E string to sound like that D. Okay, great. Now the 5th string is A, and we're going to leave that alone. Now we have our reference D, and we're going to keep that. So we've got D, A, D. Now the next note, we're going to take the G, and we're going to bring that down to sound like the F sharp. Now we need to find an F sharp note. Well, for the people that don't know the notes, do not know the notes on the guitar, we've got D on the 4th string, E on the 2nd fret, 4th string, F on the 3rd fret, 4th string, and here's our F sharp. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make this sound like this note. Now hear that vibration? That sound wave's off. We need to make that sound the same, but it's a little difficult to do it this way because we can't shift over like this. So we're going to have to do it real slowly and tune that G down to sound like the F sharp note. There we go. So now that G is tuned down to F sharp. Now the next note, the B string, 2nd string, we're going to change that to an A. So we have an A on the 5th string, and we've kept that alone. So we're going to tune down the B to A. We're tuning the 2nd string B down to sound like the A 5th string. There we go. So that B now is tuned down to A. Now, the 1st string, which is the E string, we're going to bring that down to sound like D. Now our reference D, the 4th string, is here. So we're going to take the 1st string E, and we're going to bring that down to sound like the D string. Now once again, this is the open D tuning. Now once again, now that I'm playing all these strings open, this is a D chord. Now if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at tonyvalley@tonyvalley.com. Go online, look at altered tunings, open tunings, but this one right here is a D tuning. Now once again about these tunings, your regular chords that you know are not the chords that you know. They're going to change. Here's a D chord. It's not a D chord anymore. So you're going to have to, fool around with the guitar and go through different chords, and go online and look through altered tunings. But the best way is just to have some fun with this and just put your hands and bomb across and just kind of experiment, explore different chords, and play some of the chords you know and see if they do sound good. Like right here, it's just a basic chord. You can move it all over the place and just have some fun with it. And you can definitely get into detail of the names of the chords in open D tuning, but that'll be another lesson later. This is just to get you started on this. And next up, we're going to be going to the key of A, the A open tuning. The next open tuning is A. And the first string, E, is going to stay the same. The second string, we're going to alter that string, and this has to change to A. So we do have an A string, open. And we're going to bring that second string B down to sound like the fifth string A. There we go. So we have our first string E, and now our second string A. Now, the third string is usually G, but we're going to change that to an E. Okay? Now you can either use your reference first string E or the sixth string E, but in this case it's probably easier because the high E is closer in pitch. So we're going to take the third string and we're going to bring that down. To sound just like the E. So we have E, first string, A, second string altered. Now your third string, E, altered. Now your fourth string is D. Now we're going to have to bring that down to a C sharp. Okay, now how to find a C sharp? We're going to go to our fifth string, A, and then we're going to move to the fourth fret. Now let's go through the notes just up to that C sharp point. Here's A, here's B, second fret, fifth string, C, third fret, fifth string, and then we're going to move right up to your C sharp. Now we're going to take that reference note, C sharp, and we're going to make that D into C sharp. Now, sometimes people reach over the right arm, but in this case you can just use the same hand. Just bring it down in small increments. And you can match it like that. In time you get really quick with this. For now, just go in small increments. Now the D string now is C sharp. Now the fifth string A stays the same. And our sixth string E stays the same. Now again, this is open A tuning. So now when you strum all the strings, it becomes an A chord. And again, all your regular chords that you think do not work anymore, okay? So you're gonna have to find chords that fit in this altered tuning. An easy way to do this, a lot of blues players, slide players, will just bar across, and these are actual chords. But if you got any questions about these, please feel free to email me at tonyvalley@tonyvalley.com. But just have some fun with it, move some notes around. And you can definitely get into detail with this, but for now, have some fun. And in the next lesson, we'll be working on a few open tuning and alter tuning songs. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. We'll see you next time.